Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: Hong Kong protesters, how is it going on the front lines? HK here, but not frontline protester. Public gatherings have most subsided as most organizers don't want to risk further contagion. There are still people who come out and block the roads on monthly anniversaries of 721, 831 and the death of the college student protester. I think that's 1113. The prosecution from the government hasn't stopped. Just yesterday a councilwoman was arrested with some charge that was not used since 1967. RTHK, which produces documentaries and satire show, are under attack from the pro-Beijing camps. The police beat suspects until they are too injured to attend their court hearings. But on some fronts the fight is still continuing. Volunteers still put up poster art on walls even though the risks of just doing that has been greater and greater. There are people planning the strategy to LECO, Legislative Council, election that will take place near the end of 2020. You see pictures of masked protesters holding the Free HK Revolution Now flag around Hong Kong to remind people not to forget about the cause and the people who made sacrifices for it. Groups are still trying to get other countries to pass legislations to support our fight for freedom and autonomy. Some individuals are trying to sue the police in a civil suit. Also, some pro-Beijing LECO members are pushing to pass Article 23, a national security law which will effectively end freedom of speech and assembly. There has been a lot of talk about to push this back, so I guess we will see. I feel like everyone are realizing even though the pitch battles with fire and bricks are what draw the headlines, but we are in for a long fight. Preserving our culture, our language and our values in the long run is as important as anything else. I know the odds are stacked against us and all anyone can talk about is how powerful the CCP is, but we are not giving up yet. Free Hong Kong, 5 demands, not one less. Edit. Thanks for the gold and awards, kind strangers. If you are interested in helping the Hong Kong protesters, there are a lot of resources and discussions over at r/hogcog. There are some easy things you can do, like following high-profile protesters on Twitter and YouTube. Or supporting legislations to ban exports to HK police if you live in the US or Europe. We appreciate all your support and encouragements. Wherever you are, please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you for your honest and detailed answer. I feel like I learned a lot by reading it. I'm always appreciative when I can read the perspective of a person who is directly involved in the conflict. It's what makes Askreddit an awesome place. First rule of being frotly protester: you never identify yourself a frotly protester, even on internet. Edit. This is a serious advice for activists around the world, not just a reference to Fight Club. Please don't underestimate how far a goft would go to keep their power, even if you live in a democratic country. Edit 2, and I don't mean Op is asking a bad question. I know this is a genuine question about the current situation of HK. I just want to remind those who have been on the frotly, not to expose themselves while explaining the situation. Edit 3, no, this comment doesn't say or imply I am a frotly protester _ Best answer here. Surprise, surprise. Real activism doesn't occur on the internet. Both the question and the answer are propaganda trying to win your mind. Real change happens in the streets. Either a ballot box, throwing bricks or shooting rifles. Good morning. Protests have largely stopped because of COVID-19. Some members of the pro-Beijing party are trying to push Article 23 amongst all the paranoia and attention focused on the pandemic. Link here, https://comment/opinion/article/3077109. It's no time article -23. Aside from that, police resentment still lingers. The people haven't forgotten. There are still blatant incidents of police misconduct taking place against journalists. https://news/hong-kong/hong-kong/health-environment/article 307/4155/pepper spray arrests Hong Kong's Tai Po district. https://www.hogcog.com/2020/03/22. The double whammy of protests into the coronavirus has hit retailers and businesses especially hard. A drive to the hospital the other day has just rows of shops that have closed down or are close to closing down. I suspect things will pick up again after the epidemic dies down. We know that economic downturns are not good for civil obedience. Our country, from a social perspective, is fucked. I wish there's more that people around the world can do for you. I wish you the best of luck and I'll keep you in my prayers. Amichuofo. You've done plenty by making this post and remind Reddit this is still happening. I think that's about all we can ask for international awareness and pressure. No comments actually mentioning the existence of Hong Kong or the protests an hour later. It's around 7 a.m. HKT when this was originally posted. Bear in mind that everyone there's WFH, thanks again to their northerly neighbors. HK actually did pretty well despite their border with China. The new cases are from HK expats fleeing back home. https www.cnn.com/2020/03/23/Asia. Only a week ago, Hong Kong seemed like a model for how to contain the novel coronavirus, with a relatively small number of cases despite months of being on the front lines of the outbreak. That was in large part thanks to action taken early on, while cases were spreading across mainland China, to implement measures that are now familiar throughout the world: virus mapping, social distancing, intensive hand washing, and wearing masks and other protective clothing. Hong Kong was proof that these measures worked, with the city of 7.5 million only reporting some 150 cases at the start of March, even as the number of infections spiked in other East Asian territories like South Korea and Japan, and spread rapidly across Europe and North America. Now, however, Hong Kong is providing a very different object lesson: what happens when you let your guard down too soon. The number of confirmed cases has almost doubled in the past week, with many imported from overseas, as Hong Kong residents who had left either to work or study abroad, or to seek safety when the city seemed destined for a major outbreak earlier this year, return, bringing the virus back with them. Congratulations op, you've made the list. Expect the Chinese embassy to be reaching out very soon. Yes, I'd like a pupu platter for 2+ extra egg rolls. This post has been censored by the Chinese government. Did you hear about what happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989? BRB, someone's knocking on my door. Can I have the rest of your toilet paper after they finish talking to you? Hi, Machka, but not one of our braves. We call the Frotly protesters the braves. With COVID-19, it's become more and more risky to gather for protests or anything like that, so mainly large activities have subsided, except for some, e.g. the gathering to mark the Yulong attack a few days ago. Some smaller activities, which are equally important to the movement, such as Lennon Walls, Lunch with You, etc., are still ongoing. But I can really go into detail about the protests before COVID-19. There were moments when I was protesting that it got bloody and violent. It turns in the blink of an eye, really. Once I was at a memorial for deceased student Chow Tsz Lok, and the moment the clock hit 9 p.m., the official curfew for large, unauthorized gatherings, apparently, there was police in riot gear surrounding the park we were in, asking anybody young and dressed in black for their IDs and basically arresting anybody that refused. It didn't get too dangerous that night because the memorial was still considered a religious gathering. But in other protests, such as the one that happened in Central, it can get bloody really quick. In the middle of the protests, at 5 p.m., rather than 9 p.m. as the police said, they suddenly disapproved of the march and ordered everybody to evacuate. Which was impossible, because Hong Kong is a tiny city and there were hundreds of thousands on the streets. So when we couldn't do it, they set up water cannons and fired tear gas. In another protest in Central, back in the occupation of Kuk, they fired tear gas 40 minutes after the protest began, right when people were beginning to join. It was pretty much impossible to avoid getting hit by the gas. Then they started grabbing people, mostly those dressed in black, and quite literally beat them up right in front of me. There's been so many times I've seen police abuse happen right in front of my eyes. I saw a teen dressed in black just walking near the vicinity of a protest and a police grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and slammed him against a wall. I saw a boy bleeding from the head after he got hit by a tear gas canister. I saw an old man that tried to shield a protester from the police get pushed onto the floor like he was nothing. I met with university students from HKU when they occupied it to bring them food, and it literally broke my heart when I saw the baton marks on their arms and wrists and the bruises on their faces. And they told me I was too young to be there and told me to leave. These people are kind people. It hurts me so bad to know that they are risking their lives like this. I implore everybody to not forget about Hong Kong. Keep up the good fight, man. You're not just fighting for Hong Kong. Freedom gained and lost is felt all around the world. We're all watching and rooting for you. Thank you for saying that. I have not been nearly as brave as any of our Frockley protesters, but I appreciate that very much. r/Hong Kong. Yes, all the news are in r/Hong Kong. If people want to know more, you can go there and have a look. But in short, the situation is still very bad in HK. BTW, it is 9 AM in HK now. Good morning world.